Today I'll be teaching you about organization and elaboration. Through organization, we've already talked about the different ways in which you can organize your piece. You can do it chronologically or time order. You can also do it by topic. Those are the main two ones that most people are going to be writing. Otherwise, you could do it by what you feel is important. Today, you'll be setting up your piece using titles and subtitles to help in your organization to make it easier for you to write. The first thing that I'm going to talk to you about is going to be the organization of your piece. So the first thing that I would do is think about some of the subtitles and titles that I'd like to create. This is going to be based upon whether you chose to write by topic, by chronological order, or time order, or the third one, which is the importance. Generally speaking, from what it sounded like, you're either going to be topic-based or chronological, so I'm going to focus on chronological because that's an easy example to make for you. First thing you're going to do is under the 1, 2, 3 menu up here on top, you're going to figure out which type of topics and subtopics you'd like to do. For the sake of what we're doing, I believe that this one's a good one, so I'm going to choose it. So the first thing that I'm going to do, since it's chronological, is I'm going to put all of the different tribes. So the first one is going to be Paleo-Indian. I'm going to hit enter. The second one is going to be Archaic. The third one is going to be Woodland, and so forth. I'm just going to do the first three. Then you go back up to Paleo-Indian, you're going to hit enter and tab because you want it to move in. Your titles, you want to be at about a size 14 font. You want it slightly larger than what you're going to be typing, and you're typing with a size 12. So 14 makes sense. I wouldn't go larger than that. You don't need it larger. Make it 14. So then your subtitles are going to be the different topics that you're talking about within each of the native tribes. So the three things that I'm going to talk about are going to be tools, cultures and beliefs, and the third one that I will choose for the sake of doing this is going to be role of family members. Again, these aren't necessarily the things that you are going to be researching on, but they're some of the things that I believe that would be important about them. Then what you're going to do is after each line, you're going to hit enter and delete. You want space between each of these lines. The reason that you want space between these lines is because you want to be able to type a paragraph. Your paragraphs between each of these should be a size 12 font. You want your titles to stand out, so if someone wants to refer to a specific spot, they can go straight to that. So for example, I'm going to start out with the fact for tools, and I'm just setting up my piece, remember. I'm not actually typing the paragraphs yet. I'm doing some research and throwing some things in there. The first thing I'll write for tools is Paleo Indians used spears to hunt food. It's just a fact. I'm going to be elaborating on that later. Make sure after you finish a paragraph, you hit enter again so that you have some space between those paragraphs so that people can see those titles. Under each of these subtitles, I'm going to make sure that I have the exact same titles, so it's very easy for the reader to be able to see. And remember to keep hitting enter in between each of these so that there's a little bit of space so it's easier to read. And once you organize it this way, it's going to be very easy for you to start slipping in facts like I already did. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be the actual words that you use in your paragraph, but at least you have your facts organized in a way that makes sense to you. So let me finish the last one here. And get the space between them. And for the sake of what I'm doing right now, I'm not going to add any more facts. I'm just showing you how to organize. So what I want you to do when we're done with the presentation is that I would like you to create an organization chart like this so that you can just start filling in facts and then we can start writing paragraphs within those. It'll be an easy way for your readers to make sense of what you're writing. So taking what you just learned, you're going to be doing that at the end of class. We're also going to talk really briefly about elaborating upon ideas. Because after you create that organizational chart and put those facts in, you're going to need to do something with those facts to make them into paragraphs. So just as important as sometimes it is to speed write, so we write as quickly as we can to get as much on paper as we can, it is also really important to slow down and really look at things. Pick things apart. Throw some of your ideas in there. Remember, in an informational piece, you don't want to say I feel or I think, but it's implied that you are thinking as you write. So, after you've written down some of the facts within your organizational piece, you should take the time to expand upon them. I don't want you to simply list facts. In a lot of your writing for the writing prompt that we did last week, a lot of people wrote a topic paragraph and then listed a bunch of facts about something, and that was their whole piece. I want you to have those facts, but I want you to go on with them. Tell us how you think or what you think those facts mean without saying I think. Give me implied ideas. Okay? You don't need to expand upon everything. Not every single fact needs to have a couple sentences with it because sometimes you're weaving them together. And you'll see that in the tutorial that I'm taking some of the facts that I've already learned and they might be in different sections and I'm actually putting them together in one paragraph so I don't have to expand upon them. So let's take a look. When elaborating, you're going to take your facts and you're going to create them into more in-depth thoughts that you may have about those facts. So I'm going to refer to that document that I started a little while ago in the presentation, and I'm going to elaborate just on the one fact that I wrote down. So, Paleo-Indians use spears to hunt food. This is a fact. I probably found it on a website, and I'll cite that later in the piece. But to elaborate, you need to take that thought and you need to expand upon it. So, it's very simple for people to understand that Paleo-Indians use spears to hunt food. Now I'm going to tell them maybe why they hunted or what those spears were made of. So, for example, to expand upon Paleo-Indian use spears to hunt food, I'm going to then talk about what happened around it. So my topic sentence is Paleo-Indians use spears to hunt food. These spears were made out of many different materials. Some of the materials were stone-based and mineral-based, but many others were made purely out of wood. So I've already expanded on the fact that they use spears and what they were made out of. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about what they hunted with them and why they hunted with them. So, the Paleo-Indians hunted many mammals with these spears. The Indians were nomadic people, which means they traveled following their needs. And remember, the reason that I mentioned what nomadic means is because a lot of people might not understand, so it's important that they know. So the Indians were nomadic people, which means they traveled following their needs. And their needs were mainly food-based. Some of the larger animals they hunted were mammoth, deer, and other large four-legged animals such as wolves and fox. So I took some of the facts that I learned that I would have probably written under other areas about what they ate, why they ate those certain things, but I put it under tools because it all relates back to why they used spears. So I expanded upon that one fact, bringing in other facts, but also kind of bringing in what I think. Some inferences that I made through reading. It's important that you do that with some of these facts, and if you look already, my paragraph for tools is already very lengthy, and it's already talked about a multitude of different things. This is what I want you to do with your facts. You don't necessarily have to make them as long as I did, but take a certain fact and maybe add a sentence or two explaining why they did that. The why is the question that the reader wants to know. They don't want you to list the facts, they want you to know why those certain facts took place. So your task for the day. The rest of class, you can do some research, but the first thing I want you to do is take your organization and I want you to create titles and subtitles. Then I want you to take some of the facts that you already have and start grouping those underneath the subtitles. Make sure you hit enter after each fact so you can add sentences between them when you're elaborating. But please try to group them. If you feel like you don't have enough facts or your facts aren't very good, this is the point where I would say go find more facts. When you have a solid list of facts, then I want you to start doing some elaboration. I want you to start writing those paragraphs
and making them make sense under where you organize them.